Good morning, guys. Unfrequented World, and in this video I want to discuss nature photography from a vehicle. I do a lot of driving around back roads, and quite often you see stuff just in the fields or on the side of the road, and so I've developed a whole system for driving around and shooting, and I'll show you guys what I'm bringing for gear today. Okay, so I keep my cameras up front with me in the passenger seat, 2875 for all my wide angle and landscape shots, and 7300 on a second body for if you want to get animals running in the field or that are further away. It just takes too long to change lenses in the field, so that's why I use the two bodies, much easier. I make sure I have the cameras set up and ready to go. Lens caps are off, hoods are on, so I have full access to manual focus if I need it. I run all of my cameras in manual, so when I get to an area where I know I'm going to start seeing game, I'll actually turn the camera on, set up my ISO, pick my shutter speed, and pretty much have them ready to go so that when I see something, it's just pick it up and start shooting. And you'll see a drone in the back seat and the big camera, the Tamron 150 600 G2 on my APS-C body, so that I can get really far away animals or birds and trees, and the tripod we can use for the other cameras if we need it as well. So when I'm shooting photography out the car windows, I tend to drive with the heat off. That allows the lenses to get acclimated to the temperature in the car, and I can stick lenses out the window. They're not going to fog up. And when you roll the window down and you have a heated car, you'll get all this heat wave distortion that you can see in images and video. So by running the car with minimal heat on, in this case, I'm not going to have the heat is off. So those of you that watch the PHEV videos, you know I do that a lot with the electric car anyway. We get more electric range, and I'm just going to wear a full snowsuit while I'm in the car, and I'll be comfortable. If I need to, I crack the windows to keep the windshield clear, and I can turn the heat on just a little bit if I need to. I've learned from years of hunting that quite often just driving the back roads slow, you will see game crossing the road, standing on the road, or maybe a moose in the swamp. So I've carried that over to photography trips as well. I have ground blinds and setups and trails and things that I use, bird feeders and ground feeders. But sometimes it's nice to just hop in the car, go for a drive, see some new scenery, and you'll find new spots that way as well. Okay, so just a word of caution, guys, when you are shooting from the car, make sure that you never stop right on the road. You don't really want to be looking for animals until you get to those out-of-town areas. You don't want to slow down traffic, you don't want to stop on the road, and even if you pull off to the side of the road, it's still really dangerous. Other motorists don't care that you've seen a deer on the side of the road and want to take its picture. They're going to fly by you at full speed. And if you've got your arms and camera gear and head hanging out the window, I've had some close calls over the years, and I've learned nobody cares why you're slowing down or stopping. Just don't do it. So wait until you get out of town into those back woods areas. Image quality wise, make sure you shut the vehicle off. If you're in an idling vehicle and you're shooting deer out in the field right there, take a few seconds to shut the car off, because you're going to find that the vibration compensation in your lenses or your bodies, certain engines at certain speeds, I've had days where I could not get a clear image. Just everything had a little bit of motion blur to it, and that's what it was. It took me a long time to figure that out. It's the running engine can interfere with certain equipment. So shut the vehicle off, and then you'll get some nice sharp photos. Another thing to remember, guys, is food and water. Make sure you got plenty of snacks and lots to drink. I have actually ended trips early just from being so thirsty, maybe even hungry a couple times, you know, just said I haven't had enough. So I make sure I pack a full lunch if I'm going for, you know, more than 2 or 3 hours. And just make sure you got lots to eat and drink with you. Another thing is winter gear. I bring everything with me in the car that I would as if I were going for a hike. So I make sure I have proper footwear on. I bring my hat and mitts. I actually keep snowshoes in the back as well. Just anything that you might need if you're going to get out of the vehicle and go a distance. You might find some moose tracks on the side of the road and say, hey, I'm going to follow these down to the swamp, or you never know what's going to happen. So just be prepared, and the vehicle allows you to bring a lot of stuff, so you can't bring too much gear with you, guys. So when you're out for a drive, guys, I was just gonna tell you, you need to drive slow. And a nice big woodpecker just flew right in front of the car there, so I'm gonna see if I can back up and get a shot of him. As I mentioned earlier, keep your head on a swivel. So I just backed up here on the side of the road to look for this woodpecker, and I'm on a dirt road. It's not a forest access road, so these are still used. And constantly, you know, I don't go more than 10-15 seconds before I'm looking in all my mirrors to see what traffic is coming. It just takes a few seconds for somebody to sneak up on you, and, you know, you might not be over far enough, or whatever the case is. So when you're doing this in the vehicle, just make sure you're constantly aware of what's going on around you. Can't get a good photo in there, so I just thought I'd show you he's still in there. So there are a couple times, guys, where I like to use the vehicle as a tool for doing photo shoots. One of them is fresh fallen snow. So if you've got a nice big dumping of the light, fluffy stuff, then all the back roads just look beautiful, fantastic. That's a good time to get out and use the vehicle. I also like to use it when inclement weather sets in. You know, in the fall it rains a lot, and I still want to get out shooting, but it's not nice to walk all day and be soaked, and your gear doesn't like the water either. Go for a photo drive. So another tip, which I didn't even follow this morning, shame on me, check your cameras, make sure that the battery you have in your camera is full. And I always have spares in the bag, which is good, because this one just died on me after about 15 shots. So always check your gear before you load it up. Another thing you want to be careful of, guys, when you're driving, it still applies, is trespassing. A lot of these old roads can suddenly turn into private property, so you want to make sure you know where you're going. And along with that is the same tip that applies to metal detecting, which is get out there and look for permissions. If you have a great road that ends in a nice little swampy area for moose and you want to take photos, find who owns it, go do some door knocking. And 9 times out of 10, guys, you're going to find that these are just nice people that as long as you're just there taking photos, you're going to make a new friend. It's that one guy out of 100 that will be the nasty ass that will say no and he'll be rude about it. But most people that you meet are just genuinely nice people. And, you know, sometimes I even give them a print. If I use the property and I get some great shots, I'll give them an 8x10 print just to put up on the wall. And that always goes over well, guys. You're never going to end up with a bad situation when you give somebody a nice print from their property. So that's what I do. We're gonna head over to Uncle Steven's farm while we're out here. He tells me that they've got turkeys hanging around at the bird feeders. Here in Ontario, they've reintroduced turkeys, and they're hard to find. They're only in certain areas, and I've been after them for a few years trying to get some nice photos. It hasn't happened yet. The last tip for today, guys, I'm parked here in a spot. I got the drone out. I'm going to do some droning. Beautiful fields right here. I just wanted to show you guys, make sure that if you have to park on the road like I am here, I'm parked at the top of the hill so I can see down there half a mile and I can see back behind me a mile. So nobody's going to sneak up on me. There's nowhere around here to actually get off the road right now. This would be the normal spot where I would park, but there's 3 feet of snow here, so you can't. If you have to park on the road, make sure you're at the top of the hill where you're visible. You just don't want to park down just over the hill because somebody comes over here, and usually these guys are traveling, they're moving, and in the winter they're not going to be able to stop. So that's my last safety tip, guys. I'll show you some fantastic drone footage now. Look at these fields. They look great from down here. They're going to look even better from the sky. And so ends another drone. God damn. Well, at least it landed in the snow this time. And that's why I haven't done a flying your drone video, guys, because I fucking suck at it. That's crash number 9 for this guy. I'm just giving up on this thing. It's just too expensive to keep running. Well, that was all right. I'm just leaving the farm, and there were a couple of turkeys there. I didn't get any good shots because they took off as soon as I pulled the car in the driveway, but I got a couple shots I can show you guys. Not what I'm after. They were just quick grabs as the turkeys were running. But now that I know they are going there, that's another spot that I'll go do a setup, a blind setup, and just wait to get them in the snow. That's what I'm after, some nice turkey in the snow photos. don't know if I'm more attached to this drone now because I've crashed it. I believe that was the 9th time. I've sent this thing in to be repaired a few times now, 3 times I believe, and the rest of the times I got lucky like this where it was just props and things I could fix myself. I'm really attached to the drone because my grandfather left me the money to buy that, and he wanted me to buy one when he was still alive. So those of you that watch the channel know the story on the drone. I'm really attached to it for that reason, but I'm also, I'm just not good at flying it, and it's very expensive, so. We definitely dodged a bullet there, guys. It is still working, and what can I say? I love the footage I get with my drone. I just am not good at flying it. So I hate to admit that because I like to be good at everything, but drone flying and me, it just doesn't work. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next video.